Okay, so today, obviously, I'm away right now. I'm not available to make a podcast, so we're probably playing Villarreal right now. Not sure what the situation is. Hopefully, we won against Villarreal. But you guys have sent some of your questions to Real Madrid Committee on Instagram. Drop them a follow if you haven't already. Best Instagram page for Real Madrid fans. But yeah, you've sent some of those questions, and we're here to answer them about Real Madrid. Some of your questions. So let's get it started. The first question from @Ravel Gabe. We play good, but we need to deal with the cross a little bit better. I agree. I think Rudiger's good in the air, but I think Alaba's a bit lackluster. I think it's not about dealing with the cross. I think that's obviously a huge part of it. But I've noticed a lot this season, we've struggled to close down our opponents as quickly as possible. I think that needs to improve a lot this season. I think we're not as quick to get out to the opponents as we should be. I think that should be a number one priority. And then obviously, I think, dealing with the cross a little bit better is obviously going to be another priority, because I think we are quite poor in the air in terms of defensively. I think that will improve when we reintroduce Militao into the starting 11. But I think Rudiger's good in the air. Alaba's not so good, but I think this will naturally improve as the season progresses, and I think it's a nice concern. It's a concern to have right now, but I think we do need to improve. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, of course, without Courtois, it's not been the same as usual. However, Lunin is better in the air than Kepa, so of course, the more Lunin plays, I think that situation will deal with itself to an extent. Lunin did well in the air in the last few matches. He's similar, in my opinion, to Keylor Navas in terms of dealing with those high balls. They're not the most dominant, but they are quite effective, and they use their qualities really well. So for me, under Navas, he wasn't the best in claiming the high balls. But we had Sergio Ramos and Rafael and even Casemiro. Lunin and maybe Militao and Rudiger, we can definitely take steps forward this season. But that could only work with Lunin as a starter, because Kepa isn't traditionally known for claiming high balls compared to Courtois and Lunin sometimes.
Yeah, and that leads us nicely to the next question by @GucciBoy098. Who do you prefer, Lunin or Kepa? For me personally, it's nothing on Kepa. I think Kepa's been solid this season. But for me, I prefer Lunin. He's been I feel a lot more comfortable with Lunin in goal, and I feel a lot more safe. I think he's been making a lot more of the outstanding saves, and I think this is one thing we have to say about Lunin. He's really good at making penalty saves as well. I think that's an important aspect of goalkeeping. If you can make the penalty saves, if you can make those high XG shots, and you can tip them away, I think that's going to be a huge factor. So for me, I prefer Lunin. What about you?
I think I like Kepa a lot. Ever since his Chelsea days, he's also a good penalty stopper as well. Not as good as Lunin, of course, because Lunin saved 50% of his penalties since signing for Madrid. So, of course, that's a positive. But for me, I think Lunin should be the keeper we go with next season. As a matter of fact, we should go with Lunin next season as a second keeper, and Kepa as well would be a good silver in the season for us. And he's a good option when Courtois isn't there. But if Madrid have to pick a keeper instead of spending money on Kepa, I would definitely pick Lunin. But for me, I want Lunin to be number one, because I do like him. I do think that he can be one of the best in the world. So for me, I would want Lunin to leave and find a starting position elsewhere. He's not 19, he's 24 now, so it's highly unlikely that we renew him and we send him out on loan. He needs to be in a place where he can be number one.
Yeah, he had an offer from Ajax a while back, and I think that was the move to make for him. I think he should have done that. He would have been number one at Ajax.
Let's be honest, he isn't there, and Ajax is doing poorly. So it's maybe good in the end that he didn't go there. Maybe I would love him to maybe stay in La Liga. They're good. I think he can be one of the best La Liga goalkeepers, and then we can buy him back in the future, maybe as a buyback clause or first visa clause or something like that. There are good teams in La Liga that need a goalkeeper. I think that Lunin is better than a lot of these La Liga goalkeepers for top teams.
Yeah. Next up, from @JXS Test, what do you think of signing Jeremy Frimpong as a replacement for Carvajal? I think Jeremy Frimpong's a fantastic player. I watch a lot of Bayer Leverkusen because of Xabi Alonso. I think Jeremy Frimpong's one of the best right backs in the world. But for Real Madrid, I would much rather prefer a two-way player than Jeremy Frimpong. Jeremy Frimpong's a fantastic attacker. He's really good at that. But the problem is I want a solid defender as well as a good attacker. I think someone like Carvajal at the end of the day is what you need at right back. I know you like Tino Livramento, and I think that's what you're going to talk about for now. But for me, I think Giovanni Di Lorenzo is a fantastic player from Napoli. I think he is exactly, a perfect replacement for Dani Carvajal. And I think Jeremy Frimpong is a fantastic player, and I think I would be happy to have him here at Real Madrid. But I think there are other players who would fit better at Real Madrid, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on Jeremy Frimpong? And I know you're going to talk about Livramento as well.
Yeah, I think Frimpong is good, but as you said, he's more catered to attacking in a wing-back position. I think Livramento is better defensively. He's not that good attacking compared to the other names that you mentioned. But of course, if you're replacing Carvajal, I think maybe the defensive side is maybe the first step that you should take. For me, I think Livramento, he might be. I don't think he's going to be cheap anymore because he's a starter for Newcastle now, and sooner or later, but he can play both sides, left and right back. But I think our left back position will be filled if we capture Davies. And there's also Miguel, the option of Miguel there. I would much prefer have Miguel back than sign someone else if we can't get Davies. So for me, for full back, I think Tino is my number one. Tino is my number one choice because of his opportunity to his talent to play both sides. But he's going to be a bit costly, so that's why maybe it's good to look at better options. Once you're playing in England and you're doing well, it's going to be a bit costly, so that's my concern.
Yeah, just a quick side note. What are your thoughts on Giovanni Di Lorenzo? Because I think for me, he's got the defensive attributes. He's really aggressive in that sense, like Carvajal in that sense as well. And he's really good going forward as well. He's almost like a right winger when he's going forward, but he's really solid defensively, as well as the fact he is captain for Napoli. He's a key player for Italy. I think he is a really good right back, and he's doing it quite quietly as well. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, and of course, he's a two-way full back, which is important. He has some experience compared to the other names that we mentioned. He's been there for a longer time period. He is also, in my opinion, playing for a bigger club, with all respect to Bayern, who's having a good season with Xabi Alonso. Napoli is a bigger club than them historically. And of course, as shown last season, he just won an important title. So for me, he is, of course, a better name. Of course, he can maybe contribute immediately compared to, let's say, the other guys that we mentioned who may need a time to settle in, of course, which is understandable and normal. But for me, the best player, he can be an important player for us. But the most important player isn't always, in my opinion, like the most talented, but of course who can be most effective, and I believe that he can be an effective player for us.
Yeah. Next up from @vpaul _ Caratedo, sorry about that. Thoughts on Arda Güler? I think Arda Güler I would have liked to see him make his debut by now, but there is no rush. We've just got to take our time with it. We've now found out that the chief doctor, in terms of looking after his recovery, was not very good at his job, especially not at the level of Real Madrid. So, he got rushed back, and we've now got to just take our time with Arda Güler and just hope that he's okay. I don't believe he's made out of glass, but I think just take your time with Arda Güler, and I think eventually he will come good. He's obviously got we've all seen the training clips, and we've all seen the Fenerbahce clips as well. There's clearly a talented kid in there. He's really talented, but we just got to get him some time to recover from those injuries. So just take your time with Arda Güler. He'll eventually come good. What are your thoughts on Arda Güler?
Yeah, I think he is talented, and of course, as per the videos, he's played first team football in Turkey, and of course, he's more naturally talented than Nico Paz, who I believe is his direct competition for first team minutes. So for me, if he is in form and if he is fit, I believe that he can be an important first team player, which could be at the detriment to Nico Paz, of course, but of course let's see who wins that battle in the long term or for next season. I believe that those two will be competing for a spot in the first team next season because we will sign players next season. I hope, because we said that last season. But they will be competing for a spot directly at 4 minutes, in my opinion, to see who gets more minutes to end the season and to start next season. So let's see what happens. For me, it's the injuries I can't really blame him, of course, because the medical doctor even had a serious diagnosing Bellingham's shoulder injury as well. So for me, that's why I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt to eventually come down.
Yeah. Okay. And then the final question, it's a question from me to you. Where does Militao fit into the starting 11 when he comes back? Because he's getting very close to his return. Where do you think Militao comes back into the starting 11 with?
When he comes back, he shouldn't be the starter immediately. If he immediately shows form like he did on last season, then he should start he should replace Alaba in the lineup, and it should be Rudiger and Militao. And maybe Alaba, if he wants to start, then he can go left back, because he's still a good left back. He's better attacking than Garcia. He's better on the ball than Mendy. Mendy is in form, but maybe Mendy might be injured at some point in time again. And most likely Ancelotti would stick with. There's no way, he has no excuse to drop Rudiger now. After how he's doing this season, after Manchester City performance, it was so shocking that he dropped Tony for Militao immediately. But now there's no excuse to drop him. So for me, Alaba is a person who should either be moved to left back, or if he doesn't want to play left back, then of course he'd have to go to the bench, which is highly unlikely. But I mean, for me, Tony has to start at centre back with Militao if Militao shows form immediately.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Rudiger's been excellent this season, one of our best players, and Alaba has not been one of our best players. I think it's a natural fit for Militao to go there. But yeah, let's see what Ancelotti does. We know Ancelotti loves Militao and Alaba. So yeah. But that is it for this part 1 of the Q&A. If you want your questions answered next week, there will be another episode. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.